So you want to own a mobile home park, the place people drive past and maybe try not to look at too closely, the forgotten corner of the real estate universe. Let's be honest, nobody grows up dreaming of being the guy who owns the trailer park. It's the opposite of glamorous. It's overlooked and it's coated in a fine layer of socioeconomic judgment, which is exactly why almost nobody noticed it became one of the most resilient, highest return business models in all of real estate. This isn't a story about a lucky jackpot, it's a story about numbers. It's a story about a business that functions more like a utility than a traditional property investment. This is a sober, analytical breakdown of how owning the land that nobody seems to want can generate cash flow that investors in flashy downtown condos only dream about. Forget what you think you know. We're going to follow the money and uncover the real economics of owning a mobile home park. At first glance, the business model seems almost boringly simple, like being an apartment landlord stripped down to its most profitable core. In an apartment building, you own everything: the walls, the roof, the furnace, the toilets. When a pipe bursts, you fix it. When a tenant leaves, you repaint, recarpet, and find a new renter. Your operating costs are high because you're responsible for maintaining the building itself, a depreciating asset. A mobile home park is radically different. The park owner doesn't own the homes, the residents do. Let that sink in. The single most expensive maintenance-heavy part of the landlord-tenant equation is not your problem. You own the dirt, the concrete pad the home sits on, and the utility hookups. The residents own the physical structure. It's their asset, and it's their responsibility. When their roof leaks or their water heater breaks, they fix it, not you. You, the park owner, are fundamentally a landowner, collecting lot rent for the right to occupy a piece of your land. This flips the traditional cost structure on its head. Operating expenses run about 35 to 45% of gross income, though this shifts depending on utilities and the age of the park. This means net profit margins can often land in the 50 to 65% range, significantly higher than apartment buildings. Average lot rent varies widely, often falling in the $350 to $500 range depending on the region. In high-demand markets or newer institutional grade parks, it can climb much higher, sometimes exceeding $900. Even with a modest number of lots, the gross income potential is substantial, and with lean operating costs, the net income becomes incredibly attractive. On the surface, it's a simple, high-margin rental business, a niche strategy for avoiding tenant headaches while collecting steady checks. But that isn't the real story. To understand the core economic engine, you have to ask one simple question. If a resident is unhappy, why don't they just leave? This is where the sober economics of the mobile home park business reveal their true, almost brutal power. The name mobile home is a profound misnomer. These homes are anything but mobile. Once a manufactured home is installed on a lot, it is, for all practical purposes, permanent. Moving it is a logistical and financial nightmare. The cost to relocate a manufactured home can range from $5,000 to over $20,000. A basic local move for a single-wide home often lands in the $5,000 to $10,000 range. For a double wide, which has to be split into two sections, transported separately and reassembled, those costs can easily double. These costs cover hiring a specialized transport company, tearing down the skirting, disconnecting all the utilities, and getting permits for every jurisdiction it passes through. Then it's paying for escort vehicles and doing it all in reverse at the destination. New foundation, leveling, reconnecting everything. On top of that, the process itself is destructive. Many older homes simply can't survive a move. Their structural integrity is too brittle. For many residents, the cost of moving their home can easily exceed the value of the home itself. This creates the single most important feature of the business model, an almost immovable customer base. Economists call this tenant stickiness. In plain language, it means your customers are captives. Once they're in your park, they are highly unlikely to ever leave. An apartment dweller can pack their boxes and go. A mobile homeowner cannot. This dynamic grants the park owner immense pricing power. It's not totally unchecked. Local rates and some state regulations can provide a ceiling, but the leverage is enormous. If you raise the lot rent by $50 a month, what is the resident going to do? Spend $10,000 to move, assuming they can even find a vacant lot elsewhere. The math is simple and unforgiving. They'll pay the increase. And the next one. The result is one of the most stable revenue streams in any industry. Tenant turnover is extraordinarily low. National occupancy rates for these communities have climbed to around 94% in recent years. While apartment landlords fight to keep tenants, mobile home park owners run a business where customers have very little choice but to stay. This financial reality didn't go unnoticed, and it eventually attracted a new kind of owner. For decades, the mobile home park industry was a fragmented mom-and-pop affair with rent increases that were typically modest. Then, Wall Street discovered the economic engine of tenant stickiness. Private equity firms, hedge funds, and REITs saw a massive, inefficient market ripe for consolidation, with rents below market and a captive customer base. They realized that by buying up these parks, they could apply a simple formula: acquire, raise rents aggressively, cut costs, and generate enormous returns. The influx of institutional capital has been staggering. Around 2017, institutional investors made about 13% of park purchases. By 2021, that number had jumped to 23%. Today, at least 23 major private equity firms own over 1,900 parks in the US alone. The players are some of the biggest names in finance. The late billionaire Sam Zell built a significant part of his fortune with equity lifestyle properties, a REIT now holding an interest in over 170,000 home sites. Another giant, Sun Communities, has delivered astounding returns to its stockholders. Blackstone, the Carlyle Group, and Brookfield have all poured capital into the sector. This great roll-up often follows a brutal playbook. A firm enters a market, buys a portfolio of parks, and immediately implements dramatic rent hikes. In a well-documented case in Iowa, one firm announced rent increases ranging from 24% to a staggering 69% shortly after acquiring 5 parks. For residents on fixed incomes, these increases can be devastating. Research on Florida parks has reported eviction filings spiking significantly after a corporate acquisition. The strategy isn't just about rent. These large operators are masters of financial engineering, adding new fees for pets, trash, or administrative services. Each small charge, multiplied across thousands of lots, adds millions to the bottom line. There's another layer. Consider Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway. Through its subsidiary Clayton Homes, it's the largest manufacturer of mobile homes in the country. But Berkshire also owns 2 of the largest lenders for these homes, 21st Mortgage Corp. And Vanderbilt Mortgage. Investigations have leveled allegations of predatory lending practices against these firms, locking vulnerable buyers into high-interest loans. It's a masterclass in profiting from an entire ecosystem, building the home, financing the home, and insuring the home. The business model, when scaled by institutional capital, becomes an extraction machine, turning residents' immobility into a predictable, high-yield asset for global investors. Let's ground this in a concrete scenario. Imagine an investor looking at a 100-lot mobile home park. It's a classic mom-and-pop operation. 90 of the 100 lots are occupied, and the owner charges $400 a month in lot rent, below market average. First, the income. 90 lots at $400 a month is $36,000 in gross monthly income. Annually, that's $432,000. Now for expenses. Using our 40% rule of thumb for operating expenses, that's $172,800 per year. So your net operating income, or NOI, is $432,000 minus $172,800. That's $259,200 a year. How much is the park worth? Commercial real estate is valued based on NOI and a figure called the capitalization rate, or cap rate. For a stabilized park in a decent market, the cap rate might be around 7%. Dividing NOI by the cap rate gives a valuation of about $3.7 million. Now you implement the playbook. Market rate rent is closer to $500, so you raise the rent by $75 a month in year 1 to $475. Your new gross income is 90 lots times $475, which is $513,000 per year, an extra $81,000 in revenue. Here's the key. Your major operating expenses don't really change. Property taxes and grass mowing cost the same, so most of that $81,000 drops to your bottom line. Your new NOI is $259,200 plus $81,000 for a total of $340,200. Here is where the financial magic happens. Same market, same 7% cap rate. The new valuation is over $4.85 million. By raising the rent just $75 a month, you increase the paper value of your asset by over $1 million in a single year. This is called forced appreciation. You didn't wait for the market to improve, you forced the value up by turning one simple dial. This is the exact formula that generates massive returns, all built on the fact that tenants have little choice but to absorb the increase. But this investment isn't without its own unique and potentially catastrophic risks. Many of these parks are old, built 50 or 60 years ago. Out of sight, underground, lies aging, decaying infrastructure. Water and sewer lines are often original materials long past their useful life. A single major septic system failure can cost $30,000 to $50,000 to fix. A park-wide failure of the water or sewer lines can be an absolute catastrophe, easily running into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. This is the hidden gamble. While day-to-day costs are low, the deferred maintenance creates a ticking time bomb. The new institutional owner might plan to get in, raise rents, and get out before the bomb goes off, leaving the next buyer to deal with the fallout. Failing to properly budget for the replacement of decades-old infrastructure is the single fastest way to turn a cash cow into a black hole. It is worth noting that this extractive model is not the only way. A small but growing movement offers a powerful contrast: resident-owned cooperatives. Facilitated by nonprofits like ROCUSA, this model helps residents band together to buy the land from the owner when it goes up for sale. Instead of rent checks going to a distant private equity firm, the money stays in the community and residents manage the park themselves. There are now close to 350 of these resident-owned communities across the country. In one reported case study, a resident's lot rent under a corporate owner was $475 a month. After her community bought the park, it dropped to just $300. It's proof that the land can be managed to provide stability for residents, not just returns for investors. The economics of owning a mobile home park are a study in brutal efficiency. It is a financially brilliant model. It isolates the most profitable part of real estate, land rental, and sheds the most expensive part, building ownership. It enjoys a customer base with unparalleled loyalty, born not of satisfaction, but of financial captivity. This creates a revenue stream so stable and predictable that it has become a darling of the world's most sophisticated investors. But that brilliance is built on a dark foundation. The model's efficiency is a direct function of its residents' financial fragility. The success of the investment is tied to a lack of choices for the people who call the land home. It's one of the most effective cash-generating machines in real estate, but it forces a sober question upon anyone who looks at the numbers. Is this a business you want to be in? If you want to see more deep dives into the economics of different industries, make sure to subscribe for more.